Good evening. Welcome to A1 TV, episode 5. And I'm very excited about this episode because two of my favourite ladies and friends of mine, and I call them friends, and they are friends. And I'll tell you what, it is a great story. I know Michael Gallis has had these two ladies on A1 TV before, but tonight we're going to delve in a bit way back because it's been a long time since these ladies have known each other. In fact, episode 5, ladies, Sonya and Sacha, when was the first day that you two ladies come in contact with each other?
Ooh, how far back do we want to go, Sonia? Do you want to go back, or
take it
back
right
to
back, Sash? Back in the day.
Back in the day. So we would have first met. This is a story for you. We would have first met. It's really hard to give a timeline because we're only 23 and a half. Do you know what I mean?
Every year. We turn 23 and a half every year.
And miraculously, we've known each other for probably 25 years. So I'm just not quite sure how the maths works on that. Okay.
Preconception.
So it would have been probably back in 1997, maybe 1997. Would that be correct? Maybe 95.
Are you talking about when I was on the door and tell you rejection story?
Yeah.
Go on, off you go.
Okay, so Sonia was a door, security guard, and back in the day at a club that I would go to, and I was a regular at this club, but I would never be able to get like that gold medallion membership, and it was only the special, beautiful people I think that got that, and I would line up outside this freezing cold night. So I'd be lighting up going, please let me in. And what I would do, because I don't like to line up, Mark, what I would do is I would sneak into the members line, and then this beautiful woman would stand there in this long black coat with a beret and this beautiful red hair, and she'd look at me and go, members only, get out of here. Right? And I saw her and I just remember thinking how beautiful she was. And then we didn't meet till probably 4 or 5 years later. We met at an event where Sonia was speaking at the event, and one of our good friends actually said, you speak in schools, you should probably meet. And I thought, she seems cool. And then I went to see her speak, and again I thought she was beautiful and she was an incredible speaker, and at the end I just went up and said hi, and I said, I know you. She said, I used to work at the Ivy. I was like, ding ding ding, you rejected me at the Ivy. And then I said, now this is quite weird, I actually said, can I please have your number, which is really rare to do, like, will you be my friend and can I have your number, like, to say to someone after you're 7 years old. Like, you don't normally go up to someone and say, will you be my friend? But I was so mesmerized by her, kind of like this magnetic pull to her, that I said, can I please have your number? And I called her the next day. It almost sounds like I'm talking about a romance story, right? I called her the next day and we were on the phone for 3 hours. And from that day, we have been gaffer taped together and never been apart.
Sonia, was that the day that the inspiration or the business idea come up? Did you just decide, well, okay, we need to work together because it just seems right, the connection's there, we could do some really good stuff together?
I just wanted to be around Sacha. If anyone knows her, you will understand that there's this incredible electric energy that is just around her, and it draws everybody around her in. And so I just knew that we needed to hang out with each other. And so we, probably about a year after we met, came to the realization that we both had very different topics, even though we were speaking in schools and universities around Victoria at that stage. We were doing different things. And so we kind of, between us, had this really great package that we could offer schools. And so we decided to market our businesses together, probably about a year into our, after we met with each other. And it has been the most incredible, fun, roller coaster, crazy ride. And we are exceptionally lucky because we have a beautiful friendship, one I would say my most important friendship of my life, and also this business. And we've been able to work with each other every day pretty much for more than 20 years and still maintain a friendship that is, we can work with each other for 15 hours a day and have done so many, many, many times, and still call each other on the way home and have more stuff to say. So that is You know, we've been
what we
through all
call
of these.
what we call agenda items. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like if I haven't spoken to Sonia in a couple of days, I've got agenda items. So this is tick tick tick. This is what I need to get through before we actually even get to the conversation. I need to
Yeah.
get through this, and I can
Yeah.
spend like 2 or 3 days with Sonia, and then go, I completely forgot to tell you this because I'm so backed up with stuff I need to say.
What was the first? Because if it was 25 years ago or whenever you started together, what was the first program? Has it changed much, evolved much over the time with the school program? Has it changed a lot?
Oh, I
Well,
don't
we used to
remember the
sit.
first time. Do you remember the first time?
No, I think we used to market our business. So we would literally sit in my lounge room together and play Sex in the City or Breakfast Club on the TV and write out by hand hundreds of envelopes with school addresses and year 12 and year 11 coordinators' names on them. And put the letters in and put some cute little marketing thing gift that we'd come up with at the time, and put that together every year or twice a year, and sort of send that out to schools. And that's how we started to do those gigs, together. And then it wasn't until after our first child. When I say that, because we've got 2 children that are literally weeks apart from each other, and we've had babies at the same time, 2 different fathers, don't be weird. And we've had
that's right, we have different husbands. It's not like we haven't swapped or anything like that. I don't know.
No, we didn't swap. And
we never ever planned it. We never planned it. So we've both been pregnant 3 times at exactly the same time as each other. So the first children we have are 2.5 months apart, and our second children we both lost babies within 2 weeks of each other, and then the third children are exactly 2 weeks apart as well. So
Kindred
I don't know what it's like to be pregnant without Sonia being pregnant.
Kindred sisters, they'd call it. Now, just on the program and the subject matter and the topics that you guys come up with regards, because you were young mums back then, or you're just having children, as you mentioned. So was it about your own upbringing, your own childhood, that come up with the topics of conversation for the schools? How did that come about?
Well, it definitely has our own past has played a big role in it. I mean, my background is in business, and starting a business straight after finishing high school, and then making lots of money, and then failing miserably, and kind of going on a roller coaster ride of self-development and figuring out who I am and where I want to go and what I want to do. And then it was really about then saying, well, if I've had to figure this out, how do I then get young people to give them the same formula on what I've actually figured out about myself? And so that was the basis of really how I actually started, because I had gathered all of this information to figure out who I was, that I also wanted to be able to give that back to teenagers. And then I guess over the course of 20 years, it's grown with an incredible amount of experience, because you're constantly around teenagers, you relate to them, you understand them, you hear what their issues are, you figure out how you can actually manage them and help them manage those issues.
You know what's really fascinating? We call you the dynamic duo, I believe, and who's Batman, who's Robin, or is it a sisterhood there?
I don't know, Batman and Robin. I haven't worked that out yet. I'm shorter, so I've got I'm way shorter, so I've definitely got to be Robin, don't I? I don't know. I'll go with Robin. I'll go with Robin because I'm shorter, and he's shorter.
The other thing is also what I'm fascinated. I mean, you and I, and maybe I'm a bit older than you are, but not too much. But the thing is that about the upbringing.
You're 25, Mark. You're 25. We're 23.5. You're 25.
Yeah, I always look at I'm always fascinated by people and about, especially parents, and about how they bring their kids up. The modern parent, as you 2 ladies are, the modern parent is a bit different to what the older generation are bringing children up. Does it help that you are modern? Does it help with your own upbringing, obviously your own kids, but does it help with speaking to the kids and how they get brought up at home? It must be a very difficult situation to handle that.
Do you know what I think? I think it actually gives us empathy, because we really have an understanding and compassion of understanding about the dynamics of a family. And so nothing ever goes to plan. I know that when I do my parent seminars, one of the first things that I always say is everything that I say to them comes from 2 voices. Number one is the voice of the professional side of me that's been working with teenagers for this amount of time and understands how they process it and understands, how to give them the best advice possible to further their careers. I mean, that's my topic. But then the second thing that I say is I also understand that as a parent, it doesn't always go to plan. So even though I might say, listen, these are the best ways and this is the best formula to be able to help your child, you then have to do that same formula under an incredible amount of stress. So in a perfect world, my strategies will always work. But in a family, it's never perfect. There's a whole lot of outside influences that will actually go to play when you're doing that. And so I think that as parents, we need to maybe relax on ourselves and say, listen, I've just been given all of this advice on how I can handle my teenager, but I also need to understand that I will make that decision on how to work with that teenager on a day where maybe I've, been pushed financially to a point where I'm so stressed, I'm tired, I've got my own work issues, I'm in my own relationship issues, I'm dealing with 3 or 4 other children that have got other issues, and then you want me to perfectly put in that piece of advice that I've given because I've seen Sacha speak. That's not always going to go to plan. So I think that for us, that understanding what it's like to be a parent is able to have that empathy when you're giving that advice to parents to understand. I don't know. What do you think, Sonya?
I just think also that you and I have never grown up, Sacha. We've always just been firmly planted in understanding what a young person is going through because we've not really grown up, and we're always among teenagers. We're amongst young people. And we're also obsessed with making sure that we have everything that we can give to these young people to make them safe, understanding of their well-being, knowing what's going on in their social world, knowing what's going on in the political climate and what things are important to them. We're obsessed with researching that and making sure that we have everything that we need to get in front of them and not be out of date or irrelevant. So I think we always bring that to whatever audience we're speaking in front of. But then having said that, even though we do all of that, an architect's house is never built and a mechanic's car is never fixed. So our teenagers are probably screwed, basically.
Actually, that's why we have to work really hard just to put a savings plan for their therapy in the future.
Talking to your own kids, because you have classes of say 40, 50 girls or boys in a class that they're
a couple of hundred,
Yeah, that's right. They're talking to you. Your own children and their own upbringing. Does it help you with their upbringing, or is it just an individual thing?
Well, it certainly allows you to have an open mind. Like I certainly have a very open mind when I'm talking to my children, much more than probably anyone else would have, because you have an understanding of what they're doing. But then I also know that being a parent is the hardest job in the world. Like there is no, because I think that we parent 24 hours a day. Like you parent in your sleep, you parent when you're there and you're picking them up and there's an issue here and all of that stuff. So you just, I know I'm parenting. I feel like I'm parenting all the time, even when I'm not there. I mean, like there's been times where I think even when you're away, like Sonya and I got to travel, and I remember walking down in New York, and we'd just come out of speaking at a school, and I'm on the phone to my son, and I'm helping him with his homework, and I'm walking down, one of the streets in New York because he needed some help right then and there, and that's what you do.
Just on that too, let's go down that path. You've had a couple of field trips to New York, and how has that helped the development? Because it is development. How has that helped the development of the programs or program that you've been delivering to schools?
Oh, it's been fun for us. That's what it's been.
I mean, it's incredible. When we think about it, that was the goal for us. One of the goals that we wanted to achieve in our life was to become international speakers. And when that happened, it was such a proud moment for us. We have found that teenagers are teenagers wherever you go. So they use the same words and they have the same kinds of, stuff going on. There might be, a couple of different things, but generally speaking, they all want the same thing. They want to feel valued and loved and accepted and, made to feel special and informed and all of those kinds of things. And so when we get to go over there and get in front of a different kind of audience, it's unbelievable. We just love it. The Americans have very different questions though. It's not ever about our content. It's always about, do you guys go shopping with your kangaroos? And we're like, yeah, that's what the pouch is, that's what the pouch is for, and if you've got 10 snakes that'll kill you, yeah, we do,
Yeah.
what are these spiders like? So it's always, you know, that sort of Aussie stuff, and we've heard about your artists and that kind of thing. But, you know, I mean, that's what an incredible opportunity. What an amazing thing to be able to do, is to take what we do into the international arena and, you know, be accepted and welcomed and appreciated. Like, that was a big moment for us. Sash, remember that? Just that, you know, we took a photo together when we were in New York after our first day, and it's like, you know, we ticked up a big one off the list today. It was just such a really cool moment.
The fact that we got to go, just before COVID hit, we did 4 trips in 1 year. And look, people think that
and
we're
New Zealand
there
as well. In that
we did New Zealand. And people think that we're there for ages, but we're there a week. Like, we literally fly in, work solid, like morning, night, you know, hardly even sleep, walking around on you know, living off Starbucks, and then get on a plane and come home.
And that's legit. And because
like,
we want to maximise every minute that we're there. So when we're there, we're all not only just doing the school stuff, but we're also interviewing people for our podcast. So we were able to, you know, sit with music producers that have got, you know, that have worked with Drake and, you know, and Cardi B and Offset and all of these amazing names. And we've sat with, you know, people who are from The Godfather of Harlem, you know, that was Forrest Whitaker, you know, heads up. We've got, you know, we've got these crazy good interviews with people that we've just sort of logged up onto their doorstep, basically, and said, hey, we're from Australia, can we come and talk to you? And they're like, yeah, cool. So we just try and maximise every single minute that we're there.
Now the 2 books. Now, I believe there's 2 books. The Secret Lives of Teens.
There's one book.
One book. The World of Two Worlds of Your Teenager.
I happen to have one right prepared
earlier.
Now, how long did that book take to put together?
10 years. 10 years.
How long?
10 years.
10 years.
No joke. It took us 10 years to write it. And I think there's not even, I don't even know how many pages there are, but that's not even a page a year, I think.
It wasn't solid work of those 10 years. We had, you know, we came up with the idea, we put it down, we picked it up, we put it down, we went and had babies, we picked it up a little bit, put it back down again. We had a global financial crisis where no one was publishing any books other than, you know, the Harry Potters of the world. But then
we ran an event called the Australian Teenage Expo.
That's
a whole nother
once
story.
we decided to do it, it actually flowed pretty quickly after that. So we literally sent the manuscript out to about 10 different places, and one of them picked it up, and one of them that happened to be what we believe to be the best publisher for that genre, who publishes, you know, Steve Biddulph's books, who did, you know, Raising Boys and Raising Girls and all those kinds of things that were translated into, you know, 42 different languages and stuff. And we were able to publish with them, and it sold out twice before it actually hit the shelves. So we were, you know, through the purchasing through stores. We were in the Big W catalogue. That was a bit of a moment. Big W catalogue.
That was a big moment. That was a big moment when we were in Big W.
Is there plans to do another book or
no?
No.
No.
The other thing is also I was part of the Teenage Expo, which I felt. And how many Teenage Expos did you do? Was that the only one, or did others?
I did 5.
5.
Yeah. 5 Teenage Expos, and just the response. The feedback you got from that, there's certainly, I reckon, room to do more and more of those. Do your thoughts?
No. Because look, the reason I give that a sharp no that I give that is because those things were very big things in our life, and we did the book, and the book has been a great success, and it's been great to have, and it's certainly been something that's launched our career to be able to give us a little bit more authority or you know, a bit more credentials on our resume. But it was exhausting to do. It was literally exhausting. We had little babies, we were running events, you know, we're speaking in a couple of hundred schools every year. I mean, our lives are quite crazy, and being parents, and so then writing this book was just another level of exhausting. So I think, do you need to do it again? I think that life puts other things in front of you, and when you don't love doing something, then maybe it's just not right. We've done one book, and the, you know, we can literally, the content in that book is always relevant, and we can update the book, but there's much, you know, there's bigger fish to fry, really. Like, there's much more things that we would rather do. Like, we, you know, then after we did the book, we did a TV show that was really fun, and now then we did our event, which we did for 5 years, and there was we'd do that and we'd get 9,000 teenagers a day over the course of 3 days, and we'd do 3 shows, each with 3,000 young people sitting in that show, which was mind-blowing and just like an incredible feeling to be able to do that. But that again, running those events would take us an entire year to run a 3-day event. And so running it while having a family, it literally pulls you apart. So you then say to yourself, well, how do we get to be able to give the same message without it actually destroying our souls in the background as much as we have to work, and make that as financially viable for us? And so we then have to create other ways to be able to do that. And I guess that's what we've done, is we've concentrated more on our speaking, we've concentrated more on our international stuff, and our radio, which we love, and it's easy and it's fun. And I think that when something is easy, then I don't know, I guess that's the universe saying this is the direction that you need to go in.
And you ladies know that I have
think?
a massive interest in podcasting, and TV and radio is a really good medium. And you guys have done a bit of TV. I've seen you on Breakfast TV before, and also recently a couple of outside broadcasts. Tell us about that.
Well, hang on a second. You were on our TV show, Mr. Stone.
I was. That's right. Many years ago.
You were.
At the Werribee Football Club, correct?
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah. So you've done a couple of podcasts, outside broadcasts recently?
Well, we did 2 podcasts. In fact, we did the first ever dual podcast in Australia that we know of. And it was a series of 10 podcasts with topics around what things that teenagers would want to know about. And then we did the same topics, but with parents as our intended audience. And so we did 20 with Podcast One Australia a few years back. So that's our podcasting. But we did through COVID. Radio saved our lives. I think Sacha and I were at home homeschooling grade 1s and grade 6s, losing our minds literally, and so Sash did a live, and a friend of ours jumped on, and they ended up having a conversation. She works for this great radio station called Live FM Online, and we've been able to do a weekly radio show pretty much from July last year all the way through, and then we just had the opportunity to do a couple of live outside broadcasts in the last couple of weeks, and that we just love it because you're right there, you're in front of everyone, you're live. It's just you've got to grab the guests and bring them in, and there's not much preparation, so you really sort of on the off the cuff kind of stuff. And that's the thing that we love the most, I think, is that we just get thrown into these situations and we've got to make it work. And I think Sacha and I do that pretty well.
And I also think that it's human, like I think that our strength is human connection. Like we really, it's a big part of it, building relationships and having that human connection and really focusing on somebody and understanding where they are and just, I just think that that's our strength. And because we love it, it's easy to be able to really see someone and get people. I think that the best thing that we've been able to do is that we have this, I don't know, sixth sense or something like that, where people just open up to us in a very safe environment.
Good trait to have, the ability to be able to connect with people to be able to trust you and just know that you're real people. That's the really good thing, being a real person. People connect, young people connect, adults connect, everybody connects with you real. I've got one last question, ladies. What's next for Sonya and Sacha in the space of teenagers, schools and moving forward?
More overseas trip, get us off this bloody island. That's all I can say. Like, our kids are growing up, so they don't need us around 24 hours a day anymore. I think that if I would like to pan out our future, I would say more radio, more overseas gigs, unusual work, not so much the same work that we're always doing. I really, one of the things that I've liked during COVID is I've been able to do some different kind of work that's been able to push me to just made me explore, and I've really enjoyed that. And so I'm really open to what's out there that's different. So different kind of audiences, different settings, different places, different topics, because we have this incredible amount of knowledge within us that it's great to get it out. And the fact that I get to work with my bestie, it's pretty easy. So I'd say radio, more gigs overseas, different cool stuff.
We've also got Well, we've also got an idea for a play/movie in the pipeline. We've been working on that for a few years. We've got the possibility of doing some pretty cool projects overseas that we've started to line up now. One's a massive art project on healing after COVID that we're planning on doing with some young people in Harlem.
With some like an incredible artist.
Yeah, like a great artist from Australia. We've got some potential to do some more radio gigs, but overseas as well. Well, I want to do more TV. We planned on doing a doco during last year. We'd actually lined up, a documentary producer that we were going to actually work with, and then COVID hit. So we've got a lot of goals still on the list, and some that we probably even haven't thought of yet. So there's so much more for us to do.
Sonya and Sacha, thank you for joining me on episode 5 of A1 TV. And I'm going to check back in later in the year, probably in December, and do another one of these interviews where we can check in and just see how last year was terrible. I mean, COVID it stopped the world, basically. Australia, we're all cooped up. We all went through experiences of you have children and you've had to experience and be parents to children. So it's been difficult. So I'm going to check back in the end of the year and just have a chat about how 2021 has evolved for Sonya and Sacha, and how the school program's going on, and how your overseas jaunts are about to be completed or thought about for next season and next year. But thanks very much for joining me.
Oh, thanks, Tony. We love being here. Thank you.
Thank you.